Thanks. I really want to thank Mr. Pulver for having us, and Cheryl Bledsoe for putting the whole thing together. And God, is Vancouver the most beautiful city in the world right now? Anyway, my name is Lisa. I'm the news editor at the Skanner News Group. We are an African-American family-owned newspaper publishing in Portland and Seattle for the past 35 years. And, traditionally we put out weekly newspapers, and about 3 years ago, the bottom fell out of journalism. It just went, at that time, I had been away from the newspaper. I was hired back, and the past 3 years, it's been my job to bring the Skanner News Group into the digital age. And it's been an interesting 3 years because we've seen that the work that we have done to digitize our operations actually, they're tied to a sort of convergence in use of social media and real-time internet by communities of color. And from having actually a pretty old website, the Skanner News was one of the first websites ever in the state of Oregon. It was created back in the 1980s by African-American Star Trek fans. You know who you are. So we'd had the website for a long time, but it didn't have very much traffic. In the past 3 years, our traffic has grown so that now we have monthly unique visitors, about 140,000 unique visitors a month, which is huge for us. We have about 3 million hits a month on our website, and about 8,000 or 9,000 people who read on our mobile site. All these issues really came to a head for us the past couple of weeks because we found out that our award-winning reporter, Brian Stimpson, who's one of the greatest writers in the entire Pacific Northwest, he's leaving. He's going to law school. And I had to make up a job description. What does Brian do? 3 years ago it was write 2 stories a week, do the news briefs, put out the weekly paper. Well, this is how much we've evolved. This is what's on. And by the way, please pass this on. We haven't posted it yet. This is the first announcement that we're going to be adding someone to our news staff. Okay, this is what our reporter does. He's a writer. He does regular reporting. He takes photos and video. Pagination with Quark software or InDesign. Use of Photoshop, iMovie video editing, uploading content to the YouTube, Facebook, and SoundCloud sites, uploading content to our website using a jury-rigged Drupal-based interface. It's got duct tape all over it. Must be able to talk to weeping people on the phone, and must be able to confront Mayor Sam Adams, face-to-face or on any internet media. Tableau software knowledge is a plus. Anybody ever heard of Tableau software? It's beautiful. Knowledge of hip-hop community, that's a very solid gold, qualification. Social media rock star is definitely a plus. I want to back up a little bit and say we had our super cool pal from the 4-H web wizards, tech wizards on, and he threw out some of the statistics about sort of underserved communities' use of real-time internet. And the statistics are interesting. A lot of people say that because, especially Twitter specifically, it is used by more young people, social media in general used by more young people. Does anybody know the median age of African Americans in the United States? It's only 50. So tragically, this is part of the reason why so many, specifically African Americans, not the same as Africans, African Americans use social media in such disproportionate numbers because they're so young. Our communities are so young. And just to look at what that does to Twitter, in my personal opinion, Twitter is so interesting because maybe it's one of the first institutions created by white people that could be co-opted by African American people, unlike jazz, other things. It's interesting. Corey Sika, he was the founder of the All blog, AWL, All. He wrote the most hilarious blog post, and it was kind of a dangerous blog post a couple of years ago, and it was called Late Night Black People Twitter. And he was one of the people that talked about how when you go on Twitter now, you're seeing my executive editor's sorority, the Deltas. They trend on there all the time, which I think is hilarious. And I tell her, and she doesn't kind of know what I'm talking about, which is fine. But, I challenge you to go on Twitter right now and see some of the fascinating hashtag topics that you see there. It's like David Heblowitz said earlier, it's been like a silent explosion. A lot of it, I think, driven by mobile applications, cell phone applications. I personally think that there's more African American people, people of color on Twitter than the studies show, okay? And just briefly, some people have asked before, how do you get more followers on Twitter, right? How do you get more followers in any of your social media? What we've done is we've built out our applications, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all these different things. It's like we're creating the railroad track. And then you get it's called the long tail, the theory of the long tail. You get all of your base infrastructure in place, and then something happens, and your traffic goes whew. And for us, that thing was the unemployment debates last year in Congress. Congress debating whether or not to extend people's unemployment. We saw traffic explode. We had what did we have, like 1 million hits in one day? Something crazy like that. 950,000. This is my publisher, Bernie Foster, who's pretty courageous, and I come up with crazy ideas, and he lets me do whatever I want. So this idea of the long tail has been key in how we did what we do, and it's what you should do too. But this is the thing I want to point out. When you look at who's using Twitter, you think about these issues of social change in the United States. You have more communities of color logging on and talking with each other. There's actually a couple of African American college professors who only tweet to each other, 3 women, and everybody else voyeurs and watches it, which is charming. But I'm just putting this out, like we saw in Egypt and Iraq, Persian Kiwi, God, I was such a fan. We see that where people are building their long tails, something happens, and the entire debate, the entire community just goes, whew. And in our local communities, we haven't seen what that's going to be yet. But I'm just putting that out. I think that's going to happen. And yeah, what's going to trigger it is going to be interesting. We saw where Obama's presidency had a big impact on people's use of the internet. What's going to happen when he runs next time? Cheryl Bledsoe is right. I think that the real key of using social media and real-time internet is you have to start with a goal. What is your goal? And our goal has been to build community around what we do. And having said that that's our goal, we've been surprised at the things we do that do build community. But no matter what changes, no matter how the tools change, I find that everything we do really goes back to old-fashioned journalism. Crying women on the phone, people walking in off the street. Some things we do never change, and I just have to put that out. I feel as though all of these social media tools have a psychology. If you can understand the psychology of them, you can think about how to use them as a tool and how they will be useful in the future. That's what I have. So I just want to thank you for letting us be here. We are the Skanner booth in the lobby. Follow us on Facebook, the Skanner News. We have some great conversations there. So thanks for coming. Thanks for inviting us.